Okay, let's go ahead and let's get started for tonight. I'm going to go ahead and let's share my screen here. Okay, tonight we're going to talk about curses and residual evil energies. And I thought the other thing we might do is talk about tainted situations. What do you think? Should we throw that in there too? It just depends on what we can do and get done with.
Sounds good.
Oh, there it is right there. I want to make sure I got it somewhere so I can remind me. So I'm telling everybody now so that you can also help me to remember to make sure we cover that part.
Okay.
So anytime that we start working with things that are on the negative side, I always like to have some fun pictures in there because, you know, it kind of offsets a little bit and helps you to understand that it's not, doesn't have to always be that way. So you guys recognize this guy over in the right-hand corner here?
Yep.
From Ghostbusters, Slimer.
Yeah.
Yes. And so actually that's covers some of the residual evil energy. So it'll be kind of fun there. So hopefully we'll have a good time on that. So, and the thing is what's reality and what's fiction? I think that's a big part of it, because a lot of times when I first heard about curses, oh my gosh, I'm like, oh no, no way. And I just didn't believe it. So let's go ahead and let's get going on this. So we're going to jump right into this and we're going to say, what the heck is a curse? What do you guys think of that? Give me some ideas. What do you think curses are?
Ill thoughts, ill words, you know, that are against. Yeah. Invoked and used curses against. Yeah. Yeah. Just bad words, you know, towards someone, or even thoughts, right? It doesn't have to be words. It can be thoughts, right?
It can be. And, you know, this is like sabotage in a way.
Yeah.
But it's a little bit more powerful, I think, than a direct sabotage. And when I put the definition over here that I found, a solemn utterance intended to invoke of supernatural power to inflict harm or punishment on someone or something, or an offensive word or phrase used by express anger or annoyance. That's the noun. So you can actually have a curse when you're driving and you cut somebody off. Yeah. I did that the other day. Actually, she cut me off to start off with, and then I thought, this is ridiculous. So I just drove around, was coming up, and I could just barely slip in there, and I slipped in, and boy, did she freak out on me. And for the next 3-4 miles, she was just trying to cause havoc, and I just was just trying to stay the same speed. You know, with having these people that slow down on you and speed up, so I just put my speed control on, and I just try and move around to do this. Well, I'm sure she was cursing me quite a lot. And I kind of thought about that because, you know, these little curses, they're little balls of energy, basically, that are coming at you. And they're being powered by your intentions. So a verb, invoke or use a curse against, it often seems like the family had been cursed. You know, we've heard that kind of thing. Or, you know, he's been cursed. Oh, looks like I forgot to take a 2 out of there. Utter offensive words in anger or annoyance. Drivers were cursing and sounding their horns. So when you kind of get this kind of a setup going on, you realize that a curse can come from just about anything. It doesn't have to be a monster, although some of them are. And it depends on what your beliefs are. And this was an interesting thing for me too. Various strengths and severities, little curses versus big curses. Well, okay, so where they come from? Of course, they come from wicked witches, right? Primarily from the Disney Channel. You have to have all this big curse here, the Ursula things, and that's what everybody thinks about when they think about a curse. But they can literally come from anything: people, entities, situations, inherited, absorbed, self-inflicted. Of course, self-inflicted is the best kind, right? You know, when you actually curse yourself, it really it makes it exciting for you because you've just done something to yourself to keep you from doing things. And are they real? What do you folks think? Absolutely. They are absolutely real. Curses are real. Now, I don't worry about things like that. I used to worry about when I first started doing this. I started worrying about what is somebody going to think if I say there's a curse. And of course, what happens when you got a brand new person and right off the bat they have a curse? And you sit there going, ah, man, I like to work them in with the emotions first and not have to worry about that. And here it pops up. You got a curse. There's a saboteur. All these different things like that that come up that you don't, or they have entities. You know, so this is one of those issues that the curse is. So when people send curses, a lot of times they don't realize they are, but they kind of are still doing it. Yeah, that's kind of off again. It's like something slipped around on me a little bit. Okay, so here's the curse, I think, is that me having to watch SpongeBob with my grandkids. I think that is an absolute curse. So I thought he'd be perfect to put in here. So there's all kinds of little curses that we can have. And I'm going to put little irritations we express to or around other people that annoy us on the road. I think this is probably a big part there. I was reading a book. It's called The Hurt Man. Oh, no, see, what did I say? No. The Shining Man with the Hurt Hands is what it's called. It's about Christ. And it talks about, I use this information when I'm working with somebody with multiple personality disorders or with something like multiple inner child issues. And yeah, here's what it looks like. You can actually get it for free, and you can actually print it out, and I just have my wife bind it. It's like a Dungeons and Dragons thing, but it talks about the curses and stuff that we are dealing with. And unfortunately, there's a lot of churches he stated that the churches are probably the largest places where curses are given. I was like, oh my gosh, how could that be? But for some reason, is these little balls of energy that are around there. And I guess the big thing I wanted to say was I was surprised to see that you could remove them by taking a shower. You know, the energies are there. It just kind of moves away. And then how much energy did you put into the expression will also determine how big the curse is. And what we allowed ourselves to be subjected to could also be a curse. So another kind of a curse could be if you are working at a location and all of a sudden it doesn't work out and you are leaving, or there's something happened to the business. And that could be a curse that comes upon you. Blacklisting. Back in the old days, I'm sure that still goes on to some degree. Well, nowadays with the weird political stuff going on, you know, if you don't do what the other people do, they curse you basically, and which means you can't participate in something else that maybe they're supporting. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that can be also a self-curse. A big curse, you need special help with authority to get rid of. And those are specifically directed intentions against people or objects. So inherited generational curses. How many do you find that are generational? I would say the majority, wouldn't you think? When you find something when you're working with somebody on a session, and a lot of times there's a lot of inherited stuff going on. Now, they didn't show up until I had my curse chart. And at that point, because I kept coming up with different things, I'm going, what is the curse? You know, trying to figure out what kind of a curse. And I've got one of those minds that goes, yeah, what does that mean? I mean, what kind of curse are we talking about? So when I started building the curse chart, it kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And you're going to see when I'm going to show you one here, the one that I use. The fact that these things can be directed towards you, and a lot of times they're generations, and they can go back way back. I've had them go back 30 generations where this particular energy is so strong that it goes all along. And of course, we know that when we release a curse, we always want to try and release it from everybody. And it's quite the deal. My room, I can always tell when I have entities in my room, with, like family, they're waiting to have stuff released, the room gets pretty warm. And my room's already a little bit stuffy, and you can see in the background, I got that fan sitting back there that shoves the nice cool air from the rest of the house into my little room here, and it makes it nice for me. But even that thing can't keep up. I can feel it's like somebody stood in front of the fan. And sometimes we got over 1,000 people in here because they're all affected by this curse. Mm-hmm. So let's see, generational, self-inflicted, yet unrealized blocks against yourself and possibly passing it on. and we'll talk maybe a little bit about some of those curses. What kind of curse do you think you might have that would be self-inflicted? Anybody?
Anything. You could curse yourself. You cut yourself. You're in the kitchen and you cut your finger with a knife and you curse yourself. Like, why did I do that? Is that what you're talking about?
You could, but let me throw one out there. Okay. So a lot of times, this is one that I find very frequently on somebody. We're working on trying to figure out why these blocks are happening, and they find out, well, we have a curse. I said, how lucky are you? I said, look at this. And I said, is this self-inflicted? That's the first thing I ask. And of course, if it tests, I say, is it self-inflicted? I go, oh my gosh, how lucky are you? This is self-inflicted. Those are the best kind. And of course, in this situation, there might be the curse of perfectionism.
Oh,
now, you wouldn't think about that, but think about that curse. No. Perfectionism, where everything has to be exactly perfect before you move forward.
Yeah.
Well, that's a curse. That's a big one there for you. And then there's a number of different things that can happen out there. So let's see what else we got here. Oh, yeah. First time I learned I had a curse. Now, you've heard me talk about my sister before. I have two sisters that also do body code and motion code. And one sister, she was doing work, and she said, there's a curse on the family. And I'm going, what? This is like way back when I first started doing this. A curse in the family. Of course, that grip on my heart, I'm going, who would curse us? I'm picturing a witch, like saying, curse your family. Well, it ended up being my grand aunt or great aunt had cursed my family. And then, like I put here, is because my parents had too many kids. We had 8 kids. I was the oldest of 8 kids. And she had never married. Well, she did marry, but she never had any children. This is a school teacher that she just thought, oh my gosh, you're destroying the world because you're having too many children. That's going to be overpopulated. And she'd actually placed a curse on our family. I think my sister removed that one. But periodically, you'll find that people are doing that kind of thing, and it's kind of frustrating in a way. But it can happen. That was the first time, and I thought that's what made me start to look at what curses really are. So, questions so far on curses?
Is there a difference between a curse and a spell?
Very good question. I get a no, but it depends on what your beliefs are. Remember, we talked about what is your belief? And if you believe that a spell is different, then that's definitely something that can happen. I got somebody here, I'm trying to see who was that was going to share with us something about, I think it was curses. I don't see her at the moment. If you are here and we talked about that, is it Stacy? I can't remember. Oh, that bothers me. Anyway, somebody had made a comment that they had an experience with curses, and I've got some on there where I've worked with them, and we're going to look at some of those sheets at the end here. No comments. Okay, I had something else I was going to bring up there. Obviously, it was extremely important because I can't think of it now. It'll come back to me.
Okay, I'll make a comment, Tom.
Go for it, Gay.
Can it just, people who, because they've made one mistake, say, I always mess up, or, make it a global statement. Isn't that cursing themselves?
It could be.
I never can do anything right. Well, that's putting it out, just because they made one mistake.
Yeah, so there's another aspect to that, and that would be almost a despair statement, correct?
Yeah, I was going to say
a despair anchor.
Despair.
Now, I have 2 pages, and actually Dr. Nelson just came out with a partial one. I incorporated into mine, so now I have 2 full ones. For the Ultimate Healers, it's out there. You can download it on the Ultimate Healer site. But I use those, and that would be despair statements. So these are belief systems that people build off of statements. They're like limiting beliefs.
Right.
So once you've said it to yourself and you believed it, it doesn't mean that it's true. In fact, most of the time it's not. But you build this set of filters that when you are doing something, it goes down and says, oh, we can't do this because I never do this right. Oh, I can't do this because of something else I said to myself. So I release those not as curses, but as groups of despair statements. Okay, and I think, have we done that before? Have we worked on despair statements in these classes? I don't know, but you're going to see some, and we might bring it up on the examples that I have, okay? But you're right, that could be a curse, and it could be. And it could be a curse that, like I said, that somebody could blacklist you. You could blacklist yourself from participating in something, and you could curse yourself in love, for that matter. You know, that could be something that could happen.
Yeah.
Finances, you could curse yourself in that. Any of these things could be cursed, but it could also come from the family. Now, we talked about miasms a few weeks back, and miasms are inherited disease energies. Now, we talked about how you could receive that template that the miasm was, some kind of disease, or it could be a financial situation, or it could be anything. It's a template of energy that is passed on down that you inherited. That could be something that's very similar to a curse too. Just depends on your interpretation thereof. Does that make sense? Excuse me. So let's look at, oh, okay, let's move forward here. Okay, oh, I see what I did. Now I do this. Okay, so let's talk about residual evil energies. Now we'll come back to this. And hang on one sec. Okay, so if we just had a new person who came in, are you the one that was going to help me with the curses? If you are, unmute yourself. There's somebody that I can't remember. I should have written down the name. That would have been better. Anyway, we'll have a little more time on this. I think this is going to go a little faster tonight. So everybody's seen Ghostbusters, right? Everybody knows the premise there. You got ghosts coming up, and when you run through them, there's different kinds of ghosts, and this one ran over Bill Murray here, and he got slimed, right? That is kind of my residual evil energy. It's almost like there's something, the residual is from that situation is still hanging around. Now, it could be like a dust, it could be like a darkness, it could be a number of different types of residual, but usually it's something that happened. And I like that, the first one here, someone had a party at your place when you weren't there and they just trashed it. Now you come home and here you are, you got this, you walk in there and all of a sudden, boom, that's all like somebody broke into your house or something like that and just trashed it. That is something that a lot of times you may not want to even mess with for a while because you're just so violated. And that can hang around for a long time. A leftover haze or taint from a past experience. Now there's another one there. Feeling dirty or wrong from a situation. A lot of times you might have something, you got fired from a location. You're not happy. You left. I can still, in my mind, obviously I might have to release something. I can still see when they came and they said, okay, I had just purchased stuff to put in the company refrigerator because I like to eat at my desk, and sometimes that was a great thing to do. So I spent some money, did that, and then they pull me in and they say, well, we're going to let you go. I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't see this one coming. And because I was in charge of helping people create their passwords I helped a lot of people remotely. This is back in the days when they didn't know if microcomputers were going to succeed. They had mainframes and they had minis, but micros was something brand new. And our whole department got let go because they just thought, nah, they'll never do anything. And of course, now everything's ruled by microcomputers. This is what we have in our houses. But I remember that feeling and just walking out, and nobody knew that was going to happen. I mean, nobody in the office except for the people doing it. And they put all the stuff into, somebody had to watch me. My supervisor had to watch me while I put all the stuff from my desk into my box, clean out the refrigerator, and then I'm escorted to the door. And then after I left, they had a meeting. They called everybody together and said, we just let Tom go. We don't want to hear anything about it. And they said, it happened. He's gone, and I heard from some people afterwards, and it was left a really bad feeling in my mouth, and it bothered me for a really long time. Even when somebody's gone through a divorce, you even if the divorce was justified in some way, or it should have happened a long time ago, you still walk out of it and you still feel like crap in most cases. You just feel like, I just get tossed. I'm just somebody's leftover, and you feel like, what am I going to do? And so it takes you a while. This will be residual evil energies. Now let me show you where I pull that from. Now you guys all recognize this. This is the body code.
Mhm.
And from the body code, what we're looking at here is when you go in there and you go energies, and it goes this one, offensive energy. And if I know that the person's shields are up and I click on entities, I couldn't figure out, why was I being sent to entities? I'm thinking, well, these aren't good ones, because they could be family, of course. But in this situation, it wasn't. And I'm like, what is it? And I realized that it's a residual evil energy.
Ah.
So that's what I do. Because if their shields are up, it's usually not entities, because they're protected from the entities. And then I always ask, is this a residual evil energy? And the answer would come back, yes. Now, here's what I did in that. Somebody else may use the same charts, and they would say, no, it doesn't come up that way for me. And they may have thought that under curses, there should be residual evil energy. So you got to remember, it's whatever you tag these things at and understand them. That's what that's what their subconscious is going to recognize, that you know how to handle this. It's going to take you to that. But that's what I use when I go here. And if I know that they're the shields, because that's one of the first questions I ask, are your shields up? And I always want to make sure that my client ends up with shields up if he doesn't have it. And I, of course, if they're down, and I say, is there a reason for them to be down? Because a lot of times they just forget to say shields up. And then it says yes. And then when I'm doing this work, I'm going to come, and it takes me to entities. Well, I'll say, well, is there, and sometimes I forget to ask. I say, are the shields up? Now, if they're not, then it's going to be an entity, or it's going to be, if the shield is up, it's not going to be an entity unless it's family that needs some help crossing. Now, is this me setting that limit? I think so. But you have that opportunity. Now, once you have the knowledge of what I consider to be residual evil energy. Does that make sense so far?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but do all your clients have their shields up before they come to you?
Oh no, they don't even have shields if they haven't come to me before.
No. Like none of my clients even, I mean, there's a few that in the end are using that regularly, but no.
I stress it.
Okay.
I really do stress it, because I know that a shield
Yeah,
is going to keep the entities from screaming in your ear
yeah.
and saying how crappy you are and how worthless you are and all this, and go do this to yourself or whatever. And if you have the shield up, then it doesn't, they can't hear it.
Mhm.
Okay, the entity is not, and when I place a shield on somebody, I always make sure I have a special clause. And when I do my shielding, I say, this shield that covers you completely, it's permanent, protect you from all negative energies and negative entities, but will allow the positive to come and go at will as needed. And then I throw on, there's a special clause today, just for today. No, and I say, so I give to everybody. Basically, it's when you activate your shield by saying shields up, it will push all the negative on the outside of the shield.
Cool.
And so I put that in there, so the intention is there. And I said, this is really important. And I said, at the end of it, I'll go, okay, so here's the deal about shields. Shields have to be trained. They don't just go up automatically by themselves without you training them. I said, you need in the morning when you wake up, you say shields up. Now, when you go in, you start to feel negative, you put, you just simply say shields up. It's not a one time per week. It's like maybe multiple times throughout the day until the shield starts staying up by itself. Now, mine pretty much stays up by itself. It'll activate. Now, when I test it, and if I take a nap or something, then I come down and I'm feeling weird. I'm going, hang on. My shield's up? No, shield's up. Now, the other thing I recommend to people is that take some sticky notes. Put one on your mirror in the bathroom. Maybe put one on your dashboard in the car. Maybe put one in your cubicle at home, at the office or whatever, where you see it to remind you to keep that up. And then I tell them that how powerful the shield is. I say, you know, a lot of people come to you and you know that they just suck the energy out. They're energy vampires.
Yeah.
So you see them coming, you just almost like you go, oh no, here we go. I said, if you have your shields up, watch and see what happens. And I said, what's going to happen is they're going to come up to you, and you can just mumble it, shields up. Okay, here we go. And you're going to find that they lose interest in you and they'll wander off, because they do. And it's because they weren't able to feed, and they don't even know why they're wandering off. I said, but you will know. So I make it a big point. I make a big deal out of it because it really does make a difference for people if they have their shields up. Okay, does that make sense on the sliming, on the residual? Because there's a lot of things that are left over. And I always picture it like, for example, let's see, let's go back to this here. Is that the one? I think so. So I always picture it as a room. You know, there's always a room when you first move in. You got boxes and everything, and you always stick all the boxes and everything that you don't need in that one room. And it can be to the point where you never get a chance to use that room, or it becomes a storage room. And you sit there and you go, well, shoot, you know, you finally get in there and you clean it out, and now it's usable. And I'm going, ah. And sometimes these situations are really bad, so I'll ask the angels to help me clear it out.
Yeah.
You know, I'll ask, do I need extra help? I'm literally testing for this. And if it says yes, I say, okay, angels, can you please help us clean this room out, or clean up this residual evil energy? And a lot of times I was looking for actually like the animals that from the oil in the ocean, they get covered. And a lot of times we find ourselves in the same situation. You know, we got this yuck all over us because of something that we went through, and that's a residual evil energy. Okay, so here we go. How do we get rid of these things? You got to identify the time frame and the event depending on what the subconscious needs. Okay, once again, we got to make sure we do this correctly. The next thing is you clear anything that's underlying. So this is a normal thing. So I identify it. I say, okay, how I always do, for me, I do three things. I find out how many years ago, and then I find out, and I have a little chart that tells me that when I go back, this is 26 years ago, this was 1994, and you were 26 years old. And so I give them three different time frames. And that way they can look at it if they want. Now, I know Dr. Nelson doesn't look that much. He might give them their age. But for me, if you give me an age, it doesn't help me a whole lot. I have to know the year. That's kind of a guy thing, I think. Women, they have children, so they are more. I was 36 when I had this child. And so they track it that way. But I just give them all three. And so then you go through and you do the regular thing. Is there something else? Can we release this? And if it says no, then you clear out the other. And then once again, then you release through intention, whether you're using a magnet, whether you're tapping, whatever you're doing. Mm-hmm. Make sense so far?
Mm-hmm.
Is there a charge? Do you ask for a charge at all, or no?
Charge for what?
A charge on the curse, or on the like how powerful it is? Do you ask that at all?
I don't, because this is the chart I use when I do my curses. Now this is grown. This is grown. And even the other night I added some more on here. Right. So when I am working with somebody and I find out that they have a curse that we're dealing with, that's weird. How did I do that? Anyway, I just turned my whole thing sideways here. Oh, anyway, it doesn't matter. So this is the chart I use. Now, this source over here, it seems that I really don't need to know much, because when I'm testing and somebody's got a curse, I ask, is this yours? Is it inherited? Did you absorb it? And a lot of times you can absorb these things.
Yeah.
You know, from a business. You know, if a business is going downhill and if everybody's feeling crappy, you can kind of just suck that kind of the curse that's on the building, on the business. So I just do like a normal thing. If it's a curse, I say, is this yours? And I say, then is it in column A, B, C, D, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's a lot of options here, as you may see. And like I said, here's that one right here, the curse of perfectionism. So this is where everything has to be perfect. And it drives you crazy because you never get to go because it's never perfect, right? Look at the one right underneath it. This is poison or gossip. So this is a curse that, you know, and I put slashes in there when I have, yeah, I don't know which one it is. It could be either one. So, and I'll literally ask, is it about poison, the curse of poison, or is it about the curse of gossip? Well, most of the time it's gossip.
Yeah.
And you'll find that those people in the family, and you trace it back and they go, oh yeah, that's that side of the family. All they do is gossip about people. And you can trace it right back. Let's see, where's another one? Isolation. Another one that comes up is the curse of traveling alone. Now that one is always kind of interesting because a person will get that and they will find themselves frequently alone, and it's just different things. Every one of these in here, and once again, remember, a chart is simply a tickler file. It's there for you to help the subconscious get what we need. Does this make sense to everybody?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, any questions at this point at the moment?
Sorry, I missed the part where you find that chart to print.
Well, this is actually one of the Ultimate Healer charts.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so the Ultimate Healers that we have here have these charts in their stuff.
Okay.
This is actually kind of an opportunity for you to go out. You could go out and you could recreate this if you want. You're welcome to do that. I don't really have this out there except in my downloads for the Ultimate Healers.
Right.
The Ultimate Healers, I mean, we got a whole book. We got, what, 60, 70 charts that I've created, and this is just one of them. And I think that it makes a difference when people can see this and get an idea, because you can make a chart from anything. And I do have, I think it's either in season 1 or season 2 on how to make a chart out of anything.
Okay.
Okay, I mean, literally, I use PowerPoint on mine. It looked really good until I put a design behind it and it did all this fun stuff on the side. You know, put the green around the outside and everything. And I thought, yeah, it's okay. It'll work. So this chart over on the right-hand side can be very helpful also. These are where the sources come. Now, this could be one of those multitasking charts.
Yeah.
Because you could use it for anything. Where did this come from? Was it a saboteur? Was it an entity? And I have found that entities, especially when kids are young, have had entities like at ages 3, 4, 7, just seem to be certain ages that affect them. And they come, and I don't know why it's those ages, but they seem to affect little kids. And the thought popped into my head just now, so I'll share it with you. When little kids are born, I mean, their brains are white, right? They're completely ready to be implanted, and with new information and everything. And of course, an older person's, when you die, they've looked at them and they're gray. Okay, so that's from all the information that's popped into it. When a child is born, they call it, this is from Bob Proctor, who was on The Secret, the movie The Secret, and talks about laws of abundance. And he talked about how that head is really, the top of it is open, it's wide open. These children just absorb everything, just taking in information. They have no filter at that particular point in their life. They're just sucking in, usually till about the age of 3, and then that top pops down because now they have enough information. They can start to create opinions and start to formulate from the information that they have. They can start to create their reality. And I've watched that. Usually around 3, that's when little kids start to get that personality. You know, they start to think certain ways. Well, entities, I think, know humans so well that there may be this person needs to have a little nudge in the wrong direction, or this needs to have a curse, or some kind of thing. And this happens, and I've seen this happen. And so you always want to be aware. And something may have happened at age 3, and I watch that. There's certain clients that I know that are certain age things happen to them. 9, 7, like I said, 4 or 3. It's not uncommon. And 3, you think about it, it's right on that cusp of when they start to create who they are. So big open thing on that. Okay.
Hi, Tom.
Hi, Joanna.
Hi. I got in here a little bit late. Sorry about that. It's
Not
been
a
so long
problem.
since I've been able to attend one.
Yeah, I'm glad you're here.
Well, I'm glad you're talking about this subject. It's always something that seems to affect me. So.
Okay, well, you need to remember that all of these classes are going out to the Healer's Resource, okay, in the different seasons. Now, this is going to be number 9, which is the end. I only usually try and put 9 in there because for some reason the page only shows 9 without having to go to the second page.
Mm-hmm.
So I figured it's easier for people to see what's in it and without having to skip over. So we'll probably start with season 4 next time. So there's 9 in each one of these things. There's quite a lot.
Okay, yeah, I've got to go through them all and study them real good.
Okay.
Thanks. I just wanted to say hi. I'll mute myself now.
Okay.
Okay.
Now, there was, like I said, there was somebody who was going to, I feel really bad because I didn't, let me see if I can figure out, because she responded and said she was going to be here. Let me get out of this. And we'll see if I can remember. I think it was in this one right here. Christine, are you here, Christine? If you are, unmute yourself. She had an experience she wanted to share with us on curses, but I don't see her. Well, that's unfortunate. Anyway, if she comes back on before we're done, then we'll put that on there. So let's look at some actuals. How's that? So these are sessions that I have done with people. And let's take the first one. We got a 28-year-old person with some trapped emotions in body, clearing boxes. But you'll notice that I highlighted them in yellow. This one was a residual evil energy. Now look at this one. This went back 37 generations. That's a lot of slime, if you think about it that way. Yes?
You're not sharing your screen. Or we've got you on wide view, I guess.
Ah, is everybody else seeing the screen?
Uh-huh.
Okay, so Miss Linda, hopefully you get that taken care of there. Okay, so basically, let's look at the first one on the left, though. So we got this here. Let's find out a little bit more about this. Of course, we don't know who it is. We don't know when it was. But see, we've got, and we're working, notice up here, I put number 1 up here. So this one we're going on with this dry patches. So we got psoriasis. So we got number 1 ties up with this. So we know where I'm working because that's the focus. And we go down, we got a mental will to get away with something. We got will to be a victim. That was 10 days ago. And then we got the psychic trauma. And then we had a will to, no will to be controlled. And then all of a sudden, boom, here we go. And well, here, it's hard not to have a pointer here. I don't know if you can see this or not. Mm-hmm. Anytime it's in this row here, that's the first one. So this one here, the mental will to be a victim, was nested underneath the will to get away with something. Now, to will to get away with something does not necessarily mean it's a bad thing. And one of the things I found out is that when that comes up, it could be you want to be special. You want to be the person that the cop pulls over and he goes, oh, you know, it's okay. Go ahead. And I'm not going to give you a ticket this time. And it means you're special. This is the one that the classic example was at my daughter's house. She's a phenomenal baker. And she had this cookie dough that was to die for. Literally, I probably would die if I ate it all. The chocolate with the chocolate chips. I mean, it's chocolate on chocolate. And we're sitting there, all the kids there. She's got 4 kids, and my wife and I, Laurel and I, are there, and of course the parents. And she's getting ready to scoop them up there and put them in the oven. And she starts scooping it, and her oldest son, who's 12, says, "Mom, I'll help you scoop those up." And she goes, "Oh, Tayson, I know what you're after. You're after some cookie dough." She goes, "No, can't do that. Sorry, no, that's not going to happen." And he goes, "Oh man," and all the kids left. And my wife says, "Well, it's a good thing Grandma wasn't the one scooping, because I'd have let him do it." And she goes, "Well, if he'd have come here without the rest of the kids watching, I would have treated him to some cookie dough, make him feel special. But," she goes, "but I'd have done that for any of the kids that came by themselves, but not in front of them. I don't want them all doing it." So that's kind of the thing. There's a will to get away with something. Now, look at this underneath, and one under it was will to be a victim. And that was 10 days ago, whatever this date was. And then, let's see, psychic trauma. But then we had this residual evil energy that was coming up. No will to be controlled. And then this energy goes back 37 generations. That's a lot of generations. Mm-hmm. And then I said plus, okay, and the way I write this is I put mother, father, mother, father. So M is mother, F is father. It's not the male, female type thing. And then it says 37 generations back. That's a total, 37 generations, ending on a father. And then I said plus all, because it's not going to go just that zigzag down to that one person. It's going to go sideways. So I say plus all. But that was the situation that we're dealing with here. Now, Gay, you talked about wanting to see the despair statements or despair anchors. Notice down here a little bit further, it says, it's down here just below this. This H here means that something was hidden here. So I've got it, and it says mental despair statements. There's 9 of them. I know Marcia said last time, she says, "Do you know already how many you're going to do?" And I was asked, because, is there another one? Is there another one? And if I ask up front, I say, "How many is there?" And I'll count them up. I'll test, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, up to 9. And then I put them there, and then I make a little list. People want me to go away. I can't keep my promises to others. Murphy's Law always means me. Who would want me on their team? How can I possibly matter? All the way down. And you sit there and you look at that. Well, we know that none are true, but they were building a belief system. Okay, so that was when something happens, gee whiz. I mean, this is, and believe it or not, this is all part of the psoriasis thing. Mm-hmm. And that was interesting. And then I put down here, remember a couple of weeks ago, we talked about ministering angels. They started with 2 when they were born. They ended up with 12 right now. Attending angels, they had 3. Now they got 6. So there's a lot of information on here that we're dealing with. So let's slide over to the other one here. We got a couple of residual evil energies. Let's see. We are working on, look at that. I guess I don't know how far back this was. It wasn't very far back. These have all been within the last 3 weeks. All of these things. These pop up all the time for me. So this person was, I don't know. Let's see. It was for your love of self.
Yeah.
But usually that is with the sabotage of weight. They could be, are they tied together? And they are. So anyway, we're going in here. It says no will to be deprived. Boy, how often would that be there? And then also in this one we had, they are ruining it. The younger generation in general, relationships, controlling, situation. This is what I do when I'm trying to figure something out. And I'll just start writing stuff in there that I come up with, and I'll use my book, my charts here, and I'll go and try and pull little bits and pieces. Basically, we ended up figuring that, let's see, situation of outer appreciation. I'll see, creating heaviness in your weight. You're the so this was actually, what was the shadow? The shadow was involved in this one. Okay, so that's what we were talking about. And sometimes it takes a little bit of writing it out to try and figure out what it is. And then once you figured it out, you say, okay, so now we can take it and we can notice that this line's over here. And then we went over halfway. This tells me that everything here was nested underneath this no will to be deprived. And what that was meaning was that, you know, all this stuff was going on. So we kind of come out of, you don't have to know exactly what it is, but it helps to know more. I call that forensic discovery. Okay, so let's move on here. So we've got a residual evil energy that's stuck. This person's in a void. They're stuck. They can't figure out what's happening. It's just like, I'm in this limbo thing. And then we had that one that was from 36 years ago. Look at the age 4. That a residual evil energy. I don't know what happened, but look at the one underneath it. Same age. This is no will to be exceptional. So something happened to that child that gave him the impression that, as I can't do it, I'm not going to ever be special. And so they gave that up. And then down here, got another residual energy, age 4 again, from mom. Mom's the one that created it. So the child was probably in trouble for some reason, and it affected them on whatever it was that in that situation. Now, one of the things you need to remember when you look at this stuff, and you see the age 4, or age 6, or age 3, you got to remember that that child at that age was looking at things from the perspective of a 4-year-old. Okay, when that happens, then unfortunately, as they get older, that perspective changes for each year, and it gets older and older, which means it's got more clout. And it's not until later when you realize that you look at a 4-year-old and going, oh my gosh, I thought that I brought that emotion with me. That whole thing, I brought it right up there with me, because now it's a full-blown person, who's the same age as they're 40 years old, and yet they interpret what happened to them. They've got quite a few things here that happened at age 4. Here was another one. There's a psychic trauma. This was female mom's friend. Something happened. Feeling taken for granted, abandonment, low self-esteem, love unreceived, low self-esteem again, which means that there's just a different interpretation or different, definition, fear and vulnerability in this particular situation. Does that help? Gives you an idea of some other things that you can do. And notice on this person, we had the weight. Here's the hypothalamus, which is what the thermometer is for weight. Yeah. And it was set to 57. Now, I don't know what the heck that means at that particular time. We just reset the hypothalamus. Oh, because this person did not go by pounds. I think this was stone. So 57 stone. I don't know what that is, but that was what they were after. So it could have been like 130 pounds or something like that. I don't know what it is, but 57 stone was the goal of this person up here. Okay, let's go to another one. Okay, let me push you over here. It's on the left here. Let's see. So here we got an offensive curse back 23 generations, starting on a mother plus all. And the curse was about phobias and unusual fears. So that particular group, which is a lot, would have the curse of letting fears bother them, having phobias and stuff like that. So once again, when we get ready to get rid of this stuff, you do it in a certain way. And I think, I don't know if I have that on there or not. But anyway, that's what we're dealing with here. Is that clear? Mm-hmm. Look at this. Psychic traumas, 16. All within 27 minutes. Age 47. So 16 years ago. Don't know what's going on, but, being unemployed. That'll do it. Okay, so suddenly you find yourself unemployed. So there's that one. So here's another one. Residual evil energy. If this is acid reflux, muscle tension that we're dealing with, we get all the way down here. Notice this was hidden. And so we've got a residual evil energy. And how's this? Not lack of, but this was on 5/24/20, Sunday morning. That's pretty specific, huh? So that's when that, but the subconscious can do that. Okay, any other questions on these two? I'll move ahead. Okay, let's look at this one here. So we got 40, writer's block, career on track, abstractor factor. No, I'm sorry, not abstractor. This is a tractor factor. So that's something that this person's interested in. In other words, they're looking for a mate or somebody, you know, a partner in some way. But look at, we got a self-inflicted curse. 27 years old, 13. This is the curse of fear of self. And after we cleared that one, we had another one. Curse of inherited one from her dad. Bad actors with no accountability. Now, in my chart, that would be more of a situation where they're dealing with people who are not taking accountability for what they are. Now, I've got some noise going on in the background, so I don't know who that is, but you can just mute yourselves. See if we can take that out there. There we go. Okay, so we're good now. So anyway, that gives you an idea of what's going on this one. Let's see. Remember we talked about love languages? Did we talk about love languages last time a little bit? Yeah, that's some pretty cool stuff too. Okay, so here's another one. This is somebody we're doing the body sync with. Okay, so we're doing synchronizing. This is the 5.5 parts of you that we work with the ultimate healers, but this gives you an idea of who, what's going on here. But down here, right now, see, we notice that the keeper, you'll see an N over here. Does it trust you? No, your keeper doesn't trust you. Did the keeper feel appreciated or loved? No. So was it helping or hurting? It was neutral, wasn't helping. So the 5.5 parts of you, real quick, is I know you've probably all seen that show, the A-Team, where they have 4 different guys, everybody has a different job, and when they're all working together, they can accomplish anything. They help somebody, you know, solve their problems. Well, you have 5.5 different parts in you that are your A-Team, and sometimes there needs a synchronization. Synchronization needs to be done, because I asked 4 questions. Do you trust the practitioner, number 1? Do you trust Tom if I'm working with you? And usually that's a yes. And then I ask, do you trust Sally? You know, if Sally's the person I'm working with, do you trust Sally? And each one of these, it's the subconscious, it's the consciousness, subconscious, ego, inner child, the keeper, and then the half is the identity and the personality. And so when I ask these questions, we can find out pretty quick here, and we see, yes, it trusts you all the way down to the inner child, but the keeper does not. And the keeper is the person who tracks all of your connections, your relationships. This is the person that keeps track of all your memories. And if he feels that you're screwing up on a relationship, or it, she, whoever it is, they're your accountant, you might say, and they can be pissed off about it. They go, I don't trust her. She's just causing these problems. And it can, over here in this situation, nobody was fighting, but it was neutral. Didn't feel appreciated or loved, didn't trust you, and so it was neutral. And then the identity, all of these 3. And so what we're doing here, we look at E, which is the keeper. We're doing here, we're saying, okay, so what's the deal? So mental, no will to be unstable, no will to achieve, no will to be exceptional. And so when we clear all this stuff, and down here, the three emotions that they were dealing with, it's about the parents' divorce at age 8, was 3 emotions: unlovable, hopelessness, and scorn. And then underneath that, there was a curse, and it was actually inherited from dad, a curse of disorientation that separates you from others. Sometimes it can be a different way, but. And then down here, we also had residual evil energy happen to this particular person. I don't know if I have more here. Let's see what we got. Oh, I do have one more. You guys want to listen to one more? Okay. We got to watch our time here, but we're good. Okay, so this one, we had a food intolerance, allergies. And we're looking at the different things that were underneath this one. Notice that each one of these was building on the, the first one. So all the stuff was nested under the first one. And it ended up being the thing we were looking for was the offensive curse absorbed or inherited from dad's mom, plus everybody, and it was the curse of disruption. Same thing we just looked at, curse of disruption. Okay, and then we started over. That took care, and we were able to work all the way back up. Then we started again, going down the rabbit hole here. We had a miasm of despair, caused by trauma and affecting work. Another miasm that was financial miasm, caused by trauma and affecting the weight. And then we had tainted situation, which is something I was going to talk about tonight, but we don't have time to do that. And then we had offensive curse, back 33 generations again. And all of it was a curse of dying inside, for those who can't read my writing. So dying inside is when you are just like, your life just seems to be, I'm just dying. Every year it's just worse. I just feel like, So this has actually been in the family for a really long time. And so we released that. And now when we do that, most of those people are here in the room. It's warm. And we're releasing this curse. And they're all here waiting for that curse to be released. And then we had the disruption. We had that one. So that's the only on that one. Slide over to this one here. This one was a toothache pain. And sure enough, we had no will to be alone. We had offensive residual evil energy from 8 years ago. And then we had an offensive residual evil energy from 8 months ago. Notice that each one of these was nested all the way down to this psychic trauma that had happened at age 15. This energy. I mean, I don't understand how this stuff goes together. I just know that this is what we're finding. So when all that got released, the toothache, hopefully the pain went away. Normally that's the case. Okay. Questions, folks? Any questions you've got for me? Clear as mud? We got a good group here tonight. I sure appreciate everybody being here.
I have a question, Tom.
Sure, ask away.
So do you have a chart that shows how to do this if a person wanted to do this for themselves?
We do and don't. Let's put it that way. Yes, there are charts here, and definitely it's stuff that you want to learn how to do. I have a program. It's called the Ultimate Healer. And in the Ultimate Healer, it's a supplement to what Dr. Nelson has. Now, Dr. Nelson has a brand new app out there, and I'm going to quit sharing. I'm going to stop the share. How's that? So we can see each other better. Let's do that. Okay, so now you guys got to look at me. Okay, so it's an app that's on your phone. It costs you, what is it, $29 a month?
What's the name of it?
It's called the Body Code.
The Body Code.
Now, there's two different versions. Now, there's a version out there for those of us who purchased the Body Code back when it was online. That like I showed you before, there's different things you can click on. And what they did was and you can get a hold of this now. It does cost you, does anybody know for sure? I think it's $29 a month.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so you can get it for $29. Those of us who had the Body Code 2.0, we can get it free for a year, and then we have to start paying for it. But you can use my charts for supplementing that, and they also have in the app itself. It'll do this, do this, do this. Now, if you become certified, there's actually training you can go through. There's certification for just the emotion code, which is that emotion code chart that we have. Let me see if I've got the other one here. I do. So this is my charts. Oh, you won't see it. Hang on a sec here. Let me share my screen real quick. Okay. Oh, I need to make sure I read these too. I got a couple of comments here. But let me share my screen. I'll give you 5 minutes, folks, and we have to pop it off here. So let's see. Let's bring you up to this one right here. Okay. So can you see this screen here, everybody?
Yes.
Okay. So these are the charts. You see on the left-hand side, all these charts that are going by, and you were asking that, Dee. So, you know, these are, let me just go up here if I can get my cursor to, where is that thing? Oh, for Pete's sakes, get over there, Ralph. Oh, come on now.
Are these for sale on your website?
This is for the program. This is for the people who want to be ultimate healers.
It's a program that.
It is a program. This is one that you actually have to pay for. This is $1,500. There's 5 modules in there. It goes through all of the different things that some of the stuff you're not going to find in the MasterMind series, but because all these charts are in there. You can see there's just a ton of charts. And this is for example, is the despair statements chart. This is the, you know, my disconnects. This is the offline charts. I mean, there's just a ton of stuff on here that you have access to. And I don't know, ultimate healers that we got on here, is it worth your money? How's that
Yes,
for asking? Crazy.
definitely.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you. Hi, Linda.
Hi. I would say it's very fascinating because I'm doing the body code certification right now. And so I've been focusing on body code, but I did a session for somebody the other day where I had already done her 3 sessions with body code, and it took me to Tom's charts instead. And then we got into such deeper stuff than we even, you know, couldn't get to with body code.
It's a matter of practice, and and you're welcome to join us at any time. This is and I'm going to be adjusting these charts to be actually working better with the app, because anybody who's new is not going to be able to get a hold of the old version of the body code. I asked Josh Nelson, who is the one that's in charge of certifications, and I said, Josh, are we, you know, I've got people that want to buy the old version so they can get it online. And he says, no, we're not selling it anymore. He says, we're just doing the app. And I said, so when are you going to get the app on the system so that I can show people? For me, I want people to see what we're doing as we go. So this just makes a big difference. I think people enjoy being able to see the charts. So when we get the app, it'll make a difference. They'll be able to see it. And I'll start using the app at that point. But he says, it's coming. It's coming. It's close. But at this point, I haven't seen it yet. I know. Gay's laughing. You know, I agree with that.
Yeah, well, yeah, this is something that I also have the books.
Yeah.
And I only do this for myself. I have to have the book right in front of me. I can't do it on the computer. Now my sister, if she's working with me, she can do it because, you know, she sees clients and stuff. But for me, if I'm sitting at home doing that, I need the book where I can put my hand on the book, because I close my eyes a lot and I don't read off things. If I've got columns, I'll just go, you know, 1, 3, 5, and then I don't even look at the feelings, because I'll say if it's 1, 2, 3, or 5, 4 or 5, because I don't want to look at it and to skew it.
You don't want to prejudge.
No, I don't want to prejudge it.
Yeah.
And so, but I like, you know, I just kind of like that book to might be able to have my hands on it.
Well, that's why I do my book. It's I print. You can do a full size when you buy my stuff. You can get it the full, you know, 8.5 by 9.
Right.
But I like the smaller version, and I put tabs on it. And some of you all who are in this program, you've done it for yourself. But everything becomes a chart to me, and I always start from the middle, and I keep this. It's easy to work with. And when I get the app in the future where I can, you know, use the app, I will still use charts, but we're going to redesignate some of the terms. Now, I incorporated, Dr. Nelson had 8 different charts that he has on the app. Now, I redid them. So in other words, there's one out there, the will to and the no will to. I redid those. I put those out for everybody, I think. Well, I guess they're in the Ultimate Healer thing.
Yes,
I
you
put those
did.
out there. Yeah, that's where they are, isn't it? And so they are now 2 pages that I have. I had to redo them because they all had a blue background.
Mm-hmm.
And so now I've got these, and they are more extensive because I added stuff because it was just what I needed to do. Does that help? Dee, did that help you?
Tom,
Oh,
are you
yeah.
going to be able? Are you going to be able to get to the chat questions?
Oh, yeah, let's do those real quick here. I'm sorry, Dee, was that helpful?
Yes, yes. Thank you.
Okay, you bet. Okay, so it says, Linda says, Tom, can you inherit a curse? Absolutely. Absolutely. That can come from generations. That was that stuff we were looking at, going back 36 generations or whatever. And do you do anything special to clear it? You identify who's involved. So you got the group, and I go back 4 generations and I ask how many generations is it. I'm not going to, if you were a genealogist and knew all those people, sure, we could go this one, there, here, and all the way back. But I just go, how many generations, and I find out, was it a man or a woman that started it?
Mm-hmm.
You know, was it grandpa or grandma? And that, does that answer your question? To clear it?
Yes.
Authority is on some of those there. So I say, in the name of, if I'm working with a Christian person, I say, in the name of Jesus Christ, I release you from these things. Got to remember, authority is the big thing. If they're Muslim, if they're Buddhist, if they're spiritual, I say, in the name of the Creator. It's the same, but it's the designation. And so I always try and make sure I know who I'm working with so that I can do this for them correctly.
Okay, great.
Did that answer the question?
Yes, great.
Yeah, and just double check, test at the end. Did I release this? And did I get everybody? You know, and sometimes you might have the, you know, it might not be completely correct. So just to make sure you get it correctly in there for them. Do the best you can. I know that God makes up the difference. Okay, so Denora had something here. It says, hi, Tom, this is Denora. Is there any way to stop death people's spirit to get attached to you? It causes you to feel really tired and sleepy even though you have a shield on. Interesting. That should be a whole thing by itself, because I just experienced this last week where we had the spirit was attached 5 generations back. 5 generations back, and this person was attached to this. I'm like, it was driving me nuts. I couldn't figure out what it was. And what I ended up doing, and I asked, was it in my book? No. Is it my room? No. I'm like, I'm freaking out because I don't know what to do at that point, because I'm trying to figure out where to go. And then I said, is there something similar? And sure enough, and it told me that it was back 5 generations. And I'm thinking, why would they be attached to this person? And it turned out that it was the ethereal layers. And as I was reading in the book that Amy Jo Ellis has,
Yeah.
you can buy them $5 a piece for her different books. Buy them. It talks about the courts of atonement. And you can find her on Facebook, and you can get out there to her website and buy those. But it ended up being, in fact, I marked it off here.
Denied aspect.
Yeah, well, this was actually in one of her books there. It talked about the 4th energy field is located around 3 to 12 inches out, again, depending on where this one began, and you know where the last one, and it's the 4th one. And then it talks about how ancestors that have unhealed traumas or grievances oftentimes remain in the interim realm. It is an opportunity for them to whisper suggestions to their family in an attempt to heal old wounds. And I'm like, we both got goosebumps, because that was exactly what we had to do. And we were finally able to release that, fix what the guy had problems with, and be able to get him going. So, folks, I got to let you go. I got 4 minutes to get to the ultimate healer. How was that? Was that helpful? Did I answer the questions? Denora, hopefully that was good for you. Well, it's probably not Denora. It's probably Sandra. Oh, it is Denora. It did say Denora.
Really, Nora, but yes, it does answer
Okay.
my question. Thank you, Tom.
All right. You bet you.
This body code 2.1, is that something that you have to pay for before you can use this app? Because it doesn't let you use the app.
I think you have to set it up. I'm not exactly sure because I already had a thing set up. But Dee, let's talk about that, okay?
Sure. Okay.
And see if we can get you signed up for them. It's not too hard once we figure it out, but I haven't had to do it myself yet. So I've already got the app. I just don't use it very much because it's not on the screen yet for me. But let's talk about that, okay? We'll see what we can do to fix you up.
Thank you.
Okay, anybody else? I'm gonna let you go. I love you guys.
Bye. It was great to see you. Bye.
Yes.
Bye.
We're gonna talk soon, Joanna. Okay. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.